You know, when we think about cybersecurity, our minds probably jump to images of complex code, hackers in dark rooms, and giant digital firewalls. But what if I told you the biggest security weakness isn't in the computer at all? Today, we're going to talk about something way more powerful than malware. We're talking about human psychology and how it's become the #1 target for cyber attacks.
Okay, let this one sink in for a second. This single idea is pretty much the foundation for the most successful and, honestly, the most devastating cyber attacks we've ever seen. Hackers figured out that spending months trying to break through layers of digital defense is really hard. But tricking a person into just holding the door open for them, well, that's a whole lot easier.
So let's jump right into our first section, hacking the human mind. Because this really isn't about code anymore, it's all about the con. That's right, the huge majority of successful cyber attacks don't start with some brilliant piece of code finding a secret flaw in a system. Nope, they start with a simple, carefully crafted message. One that's designed to manipulate a person, you, me, a coworker, into making one small mistake. The human is the way in.
So to really get how this works, let's move on and dissect the anatomy of the phish. We're going to look at the most common tool for hacking humans, and I guarantee you've seen this one in your own inbox.
So, what is phishing, really? It's basically a digital costume party. An attacker puts on a disguise. They pretend to be your bank, your boss, Netflix, you name it, all to trick you. And the goal is super simple. Get you to do something you shouldn't. You know, click that sketchy link, download a file that's not what it seems, or type your password into a fake website.
And these attacks are coming at us from all over the place. Of course, there's the classic email phishing we all know and hate. But now there's smishing. That's when they use text messages. And vishing, which is when they try to trick you over a phone call. The most dangerous one, though, that's spear phishing. That's when the attacker has done their homework, they know your name, your job, maybe even your boss's name, and they create a message so personal and believable, it's incredibly hard to spot.
Now this is where it gets really fascinating. Why do these things actually work on us? Well, they're designed to hijack our basic human emotions. They create a sense of urgency. Your account is about to be deleted, so we act first and think later. They use fear, suspicious login from Russia, to make us panic and click without thinking. And they lean on authority and trust, pretending to be the IT department or your manager, because we're wired to comply. The whole game is to make us react, not think.
And let's be really clear about something. Falling for one of these doesn't mean you're not smart. It just means you're human. I mean, even the top cybersecurity pros in the world can get tricked if they're caught at the right moment, when they're tired or stressed or just distracted for a split second. The attacker isn't betting you're ignorant. They're betting on you having a moment of weakness.
And as good as phishing is at tricking us, it's really just the tip of the iceberg. It's just one play in a much bigger and more sophisticated game. Which brings us to our third section, and the bigger picture here, social engineering. This is the true art and science of manipulating people to break into digital systems.
Right, so social engineering is the umbrella that phishing falls under. It's not about hacking computers at all. It's about hacking people. It's about exploiting our natural instinct to trust each other, to be helpful, and to follow social rules. It is the ultimate con game, just gone digital.
And a social engineer has a whole bag of tricks. There's pretexting, where they invent a whole believable backstory, like, "Hi, I'm from IT, I just need to verify your password for the system update." They use impersonation, of course, but they also use physical tactics, like tailgating, just walking confidently behind an employee as they swipe into a secure building. Every single one of these tactics works because we just assume people are who they say they are.
And this is exactly why social engineering is so dang effective. You can have the best firewall in the world, the most expensive antivirus software, and none of it matters one bit if a hacker can just convince an employee to tell them the password or hold the door open for them. It completely bypasses all the technology.
But here's the thing. Getting that password or walking through that door is almost never the end goal. Not even close. It's usually just the very first step.
This is what we call the attack chain, and it really shows how one tiny mistake can snowball into an absolute catastrophe. It starts small, right? A simple phishing email. That one click leads to stolen login info. That login info gives the attacker a foothold in the system. And from there, they can move around, steal massive amounts of data, and maybe even launch a ransomware attack that brings an entire company to its knees.
And that's the really scary part. What feels like a tiny, harmless mistake, one little click on a weird link, can be the first domino that falls in a massive security disaster. I mean, think about any major data breach you've read about in the headlines. chances are it started with just one person getting tricked.
Okay, so with all these hackers out there trying to manipulate us, what on earth are we supposed to do? Well, that brings us to our final and most important section, your strongest defense.
If you remember one thing from all of this, please let it be this. The best security technology in the world is totally useless without smart, aware people behind it. Attackers know that people are the weak link, which means people have to become the first line of defense. And that defense is something we call the human firewall. It's not a piece of software you can install. It's a mindset. It's about being aware these tricks exist, being a little skeptical of requests that seem odd or urgent, and being prepared to just pause, think, and double-check before you click or reply. Seriously, your critical thinking is the most powerful security tool you will ever have. Because look, sooner or later, a message is going to land in your inbox or your texts, and it's going to be designed to make you panic. It'll look real, it'll sound urgent. That's not a maybe, it's a guarantee. And when it shows up, that's the real test. So the only question left is, are you going to be ready for it?